Hey everyone, October is about to come to a close and November begins this Friday, and I've decided to do a movie preview for the movies coming out in November since I've been thinking about the movies coming out in November, and I've been thinking about doing movie previews for the last 2 months of the year, November and December, for those movies coming out. And how November 2019 looks so far? Pretty promising. We got plenty of good movies coming out, possible Oscar contenders, and some blockbusters. Looks like a good month. Now let's begin for the movies coming out in November. Starting off with November 1st, Terminator Dark Fate. Now I have been worried about this film since there hasn't been a good Terminator movie since Judgment Day, and that is easily the best Terminator movie, and haven't gotten a good one that is as good as that film. Also, the trailers were decent. They did a good job of getting me a bit interested in this film. I'm also liking that Tim Miller is directing this film, who directed the first Deadpool. Really liked how he directed the action in the first Deadpool. Ever since I saw the first Deadpool, I was hoping that he would have a bright future in action movies, and it would be cool that he is going to direct a Terminator movie. And also cool that Linda Hamilton is coming back as Sarah Connor, and also Arnold coming back as Terminator as well. Finally, we get an R-rated Terminator movie since the last two were PG-13, but I hope the movie is good along with that R rating, and so far from the early reactions, I am hearing some positive things so far. So far, the Rotten Tomatoes score in this movie is in the 60s, so just really hope we get a fun and entertaining Terminator movie, hopefully the best Terminator sequel since Judgment Day. I am getting a bit more excited about Terminator Dark Fate, even though the trailers didn't entirely impress me. Just the early reactions and the potential this movie has so far. Getting a bit more excited for this sequel, so cautiously optimistic about Terminator Dark Fate, but we'll see. Next up, there are 3 movies coming out on November 8th. The first one is a big one, Dr. Sleep, the sequel to The Shining. In this sequel, we follow the grown-up version of Danny Torrance. And this film is played by Ewan McGregor. Mike Flanagan is directing this film, and I've been hearing he's a really good horror director. And I have no doubts that he would be a great choice for a Shining sequel, along with Ewan McGregor in the lead role, who I think is a great and underrated actor in my opinion. This looks just as creepy and scary as the original Shining, which is one of the greatest horror movies ever made. This looks like it could be a really good horror movie, so interested in this movie. Second movie coming out on November 8th is Roland Emmerich's new Pearl Harbor movie, Midway. This movie has a huge cast, just so many people in this movie that I can remember. Got Luke Evans, Woody Harrelson, Aaron Eckhart, just a lot of people in this movie that I'm just trying to remember. Ed Skrein, villain in Deadpool, just so many people are in this movie. Now, Roland Emmerich is a hit-or-miss director for me. Sometimes he can make an enjoyable film for me, like the first Independence Day, or he can make some bad movies, like the sequel. So he is hit and miss for me, and him doing a Pearl Harbor movie, and honestly, I'm not really impressed with the trailers for this movie. They haven't really been getting me excited for this movie, despite the impressive cast. And along with some CGI in the trailers that doesn't quite impress me, just doesn't look good here and there. The trailers aren't really doing it for me of getting me interested in this film, so I'm not sure about this film. The final film coming out on November 8th is a firefighter comedy, Playing with Fire, starring John Cena, Keegan-Michael Key, and John Leguizamo. This movie looks awful. It just looks really, really bad. There are these firefighters, and now they're taking care of these 3 kids, and John Cena doesn't get along with those kids, and chances are he'll probably get along with them by the end of this movie. I've seen this story before. Despite that I've seen these 3 actors give funny performances in the past, the jokes just fall flat in this trailer, and I didn't even laugh once in this trailer. It just doesn't look very funny to me. I'm probably going to be skipping this movie. This movie just looks really bad. Now, on the opposite of really bad, November 15th, a movie I am very interested in, really looking forward to this movie, Ford v Ferrari, directed by James Mangold, starring Matt Damon and Christian Bale. 2 of some of my favorite actors in a movie together, Matt Damon and Christian Bale, just automatically excited for it, and James Mangold's follow-up to Logan, my second favorite film of 2017. I'm really excited for this movie. This looks great. This looks like a very well-directed, very well acted movie. I'm also interested in this true story movie of how the Ford company was able to build a race car to compete against a Ferrari race car at the race of Le Mans. It looks like a very interesting movie I'm really excited to check out. The trailers definitely got me excited for this movie. I'm really looking forward to this movie. This is one of my most anticipated movies for the rest of the year. Really looking forward to this movie. Now, in the week before Thanksgiving, two movies coming out on November 22nd that I'm really looking forward to. The first film coming out this weekend is probably the biggest movie coming out in November. It's probably going to make a lot of money. Frozen 2, the anticipated animated sequel to 2013's Frozen. What I'm really liking about this trailer is that there's a lot of mysteries to it. Maybe we could learn more about Elsa, and also there's the Enchanted Forest. And I'm really liking how mysterious the trailers are, not giving away too much of the story, which I like, just giving us like what could be happening in the sequel. I'm interested to see what happens in this sequel. The animation looks absolutely phenomenal and jaw-dropping. Disney is really upping their game when it comes to CGI animation. And the characters that we know and love from the first movie are coming back in this sequel. Anna, Elsa, Kristoff, Olaf, my favorite character in Frozen. And chances are we're going to get a new song in this film, similar to Let It Go, that will be stuck in our heads for weeks. And maybe we'll win the Oscar for Best Original Song. We'll see about that. I'm really excited for Frozen 2. I love the first film. I'm excited to see what happens in a sequel. I'm excited to see these characters again. I'm really looking forward to this film. Another film coming out that same weekend that I'm really looking forward to ever since I've been hearing about this film. The trailers came out and the actor they got for this role. I can't wait for this movie. A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, starring Tom Hanks as Fred Rogers. This is not a biopic on Fred Rogers. This is a story about a journalist who had the chance to interview Fred Rogers and how much that interview impacted him as a person, and I think this looks like a very interesting movie. I'm glad that this film is not a biopic on Fred Rogers. We already got to know him in Won't You Be My Neighbor, a fantastic documentary, and instead making a movie where he impacted someone, and I think this looks like a very good movie, and Tom Hanks as Fred Rogers is the ideal choice for the role. I can't imagine anyone else playing Fred Rogers in a movie other than Tom Hanks. And at the beginning of the trailer, where he sings the theme song to Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, that is Fred Rogers right there. I think Tom Hanks will capture the kindness and optimism of Fred Rogers perfectly. Even if he doesn't look or sound like Fred Rogers that much, I think he's going to nail this role 100%. And I have a feeling he will get Oscar nominated for this role. Been hearing a lot of Oscar buzz for his performance. I definitely think he's going to knock this role out of the park. This looks like a heartwarming and could be one of the feel-good movies of the year. I am really excited for A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. This is one of my most anticipated movies for November. And finally, on November 27th, two movies coming out on Thanksgiving weekend. One of them will be coming out in theaters and one of them will be on Netflix. First is my most anticipated movie of November, movie I'm really excited for, Knives Out, written and directed by Rian Johnson, and this is his new whodunit mystery film. I am really excited for this movie. The cast they got for this movie: Daniel Craig, Chris Evans, Jamie Lee Curtis, Toni Collette, Michael Shannon, Lakeith Stanfield, Christopher Plummer. So many people in this movie. It's amazing, the cast that Rian Johnson has assembled for this movie, and they look great in this movie. I love Rian Johnson as a writer and director. I love Looper. I love The Last Jedi. I admire the risks he takes as a writer and director, so I definitely think he's going to do a great job doing a whodunit mystery, the culprit involved. I think he'll do a great job with that. And also the rave reviews from festivals this film has premiered at. People are loving this movie. It has almost a perfect score on Rotten Tomatoes right now, a 99%. I'm really excited for this movie. This is my most anticipated movie for November. I cannot wait for Rian Johnson's new whodunit mystery. I can't wait for Knives Out. And the final movie I'll be talking about on November is a new Netflix movie, Martin Scorsese's new mobster movie, The Irishman. Robert De Niro and Martin Scorsese are back collaborating. Joe Pesci is coming out of retirement. Al Pacino is also in this movie. It'll be premiering on Netflix. I'm really glad that Martin Scorsese is coming back to his mobster gangster movies like Goodfellas. I'm really excited that he's coming back for that. However, one thing I am worried about in this movie is the length. This is a very long movie at 3.5 hours long, so I am very worried about the length of this movie. Been hearing great things from people who have seen this movie at festivals so far. Martin Scorsese is one of the greatest filmmakers working today, so really interested in checking out this movie. The great cast. I'm looking forward to this movie when it premieres on Netflix. I definitely think this movie will be a huge Oscar contender. I'm looking forward to The Irishman. I'm really glad Martin Scorsese is coming back to these movies and coming back to work with Robert De Niro and Joe Pesci, getting him out of retirement. I'm looking forward to this movie when it premieres on Netflix. And those are my thoughts on the movies coming out in November. And at the end of November, I will be doing a movie preview for the movies coming out in December. And so I'd like to ask you guys, what movies coming out in November are you excited for, kind of interested in checking out, or not interested at all? Let me know in the comments below. And also make sure to like this video, leave a comment, and subscribe if you're new here. It really means a lot. I'm Jack Benner, and look forward to another movie.